I am disappointed, but not surprised that we're having this conversation that we're about to have today. Let's get right into it. I've never been a big K-pop girly myself. I have some friends who are huge K-pop fans, and I needed to see what all of the fuss is about when them and my mutuals also were all talking about K-pop demon hunters. And I won't even lie, seeing Jinu was the tipping point for me, where I was like, you know what, hold on, I need to see what this is all about. And the movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's been a very successful movie so far. At the time that I'm making this video, it has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the soundtrack is also performing incredibly well, especially on places like Spotify, which makes sense because this movie has banger after banger after banger. But of course, with its success comes its controversy. This movie has helped expose a lot of racism and the fetishization of Korean people and the appropriation of their culture. So while we're going to talk about some of the good things that came from this movie, we're going to have to talk about some of the bad things that have come from this movie, especially from the cosplay community. But before we get into it, hi, my name is Ezra Faye. I'm a professional makeup artist, a cosplayer, and I just want to get two little disclaimers out of the way here. First of all, like I said, I love this movie. I came for Jinu, I stayed for Romance Saja. I really liked it, so I'm not here to bash the movie. I'm here to bash how people are acting about this movie. And second of all, I understand if you're concerned seeing a white girl sitting here getting ready to talk about all of these controversies. Makes sense. I just want to make it clear that I'm here to share my observation and uplift other people's voices. I know that I am not the authority on these issues, and you're gonna see me share both sides of the argument here, and I'm doing that so that people can have a more informed understanding of these controversies, but more on that later. Let's talk about the first controversy that I would say is kind of like a huge stepping stone for these other controversies, and that is fast fashion cosplay. One thing about cosplayers post 2020 is that they are quick to capitalize on a new hype train. It's impressive, but it's also problematic at the same time. Cosplay companies have picked up on how quickly fans jump into cosplaying things from new popular media. Cosplays for K-pop demon hunters have already been announced on Doki Doki Cosplay. I'm pretty sure you can already order them. And I laughed to myself because with Otakon coming up, I know I'm gonna see like 100 different Huntrix groups. I'm gonna see 100 different Sajo boys, but that's just inevitable whenever a popular piece of media comes out right before a con. It's just funny because it's always the same thing in a different font. And the Doki Doki cosplay wigs are really pretty, but let me just take this moment to remind you that wigs from these cosplay companies rarely come just as styled as they are in the pictures. So do with that information what you will, especially with Rumi's wig. I don't think it's gonna look as good as it does in the picture. I mean, if you get one, correct me if I'm wrong, but also just with the hairline, I feel like it's not gonna look that great. And in my opinion, a lace front wig looks a lot better if you can afford it. That's just my opinion. And it's really exciting to see that these cosplays already are available because I know a lot of people want to cosplay from this movie. And it's definitely a smart business move for these companies to capitalize on the hype. However, this does make a huge contribution to the fast fashion epidemic, and I don't think you're a bad person or any less of a cosplayer if you do buy cosplays. I mean, I buy cosplays, but there are a large handful of people that have this habit of immediately buying cosplays from whatever piece of media is super popular at the moment for the sake of relevance. They wear it one time and then they never wear it again, and the cycle repeats as soon as the next popular piece of media comes out. Especially with the How It's Done outfits only being around $30, they're sure to get a lot of orders. We talk all the time about how cosplaying by thrifting or making it yourself or upcycling is usually cheaper, but with these outfits being $30, that's pretty competitive and pretty enticing, because why would you go through all that effort and probably spend about $30 when you could just buy it for $30 and not have to do any of the work? However, I can tell just by looking at these pictures that this is still costume material. The accessories are going to be flimsy, and there's not going to be a lot of texture to these outfits, which is disappointing because the outfits outfits are very detailed and pretty in the moving, but it's all just kind of like printed on fabric from what I can see. So it's not gonna look that great. And I feel like if you thrifted the pieces or you upcycled the pieces, it would look a lot better and would cost about the same. Again, just my opinion, but this is definitely a huge contribution to cosplay fast fashion, because with this hype cycle, people want to cosplay it as fast as possible. They want to get the clicks, they want to get the likes, they want to get the followers, because this is what people are looking for right now. And so they want to get it done as fast as possible. And honestly, like, everybody says, oh, Doki Doki's so good, like, oh, a Doki Doki cosplay. I ordered something from Doki Doki Cosplay. I swear they sent me a used cosplay, but that's a different video. I'm not impressed with Doki Doki Cosplay. But all that to say, if you're planning on buying one of these cosplays, please make sure it's because you actually really love this character, you really love this movie, and it's not just something that you're doing to possibly get more views online or just to be relevant. If you only see yourself wearing it one time, don't buy it. The thing is, like, you don't need to cosplay this right away. Even if it would be a good time, I guess, to capitalize on the hype, I promise K-pop Demon Hunters is still going to exist next year, and you could cosplay it next year. The point is, you don't need to cosplay it right now. And in fact, rushing to cosplay from this movie has caused a lot of issues and exposed the underlying issues in the cosplay community when it comes to cosplaying from other cultures. We're going to talk about the cosplay specific related controversies now, and I want to preface this by saying that this is not an invitation to harass or bully these people. I don't endorse that, but I think awareness is important, and I think there are mistakes here that can be learned from. So let's start off with the Derpy Tiger cosplay. I'm sure people have seen this, but in case you haven't, a cosplayer with a considerable amount of followers cosplayed the Derpy Tiger from the movie. I don't, like, is his name Derpy, or do people just call, I don't know, we're just gonna call him the Derpy Tiger, sorry. At first glance, this cosplay looks really good and fun and creative, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, wow, like, how cool. This cosplayer soon got a heap of negative attention as people noticed that the, like, top part of the cosplay was a Chun-Li cosplay, and the cosplayer was also wearing a kitsune earring. Now, Chun-Li is a Chinese character and a kitsune earring is from Japanese culture. And this is the issue, that they're cosplaying while wearing different pieces from different Asian cultures while portraying another character from a different Asian culture. And while you may think like, oh, they were just using what they had lying around, this does perpetuate that stereotype floating around that all Asians are the same. It's lumping cultures together. Some Eastern Asian cultures do have similarities. However, Asia is the biggest continent in the world, and every country has so many differences and unique things about it, and by lumping them all together, you are taking away from that. But what made this matter even worse was that the cosplayer came on the defensive when confronted about it. They were stating that it wasn't their intention and that it's not that deep, and that people who were Korean were reading into it too much, or people from other Asian cultures were reading into it too much. Like, that is crazy. I understand working with what you have. I understand closet cosplaying as a quick and sustainable option. I mean, look at me. However, you still have to be mindful of the pieces from your closet that you are choosing for your closet cosplay. And this cosplayer was also apparently deleting comments instead of accepting the criticism, which angered people even more. Meeting criticism with aggression and a defensive attitude is never the way to go, and it's gonna hurt your image even more. Now, this person did take down this cosplay eventually, but I have a feeling it's not because they wanted to or because they saw the error of their ways. That's just my speculation. The proper response would have been to just apologize and take it down and take some time away to reflect. So that was something that caused a lot of issues and started this discussion about lumping Asian cultures together, which is something that we should not be doing when we're cosplaying. When I tell you a Google search is so quick and easy. And then we have to talk about the situation regarding the guy. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that completely correctly. I watched multiple YouTube videos where they were talking about it, trying to get the pronunciation down as good as I could. Let's talk about it. To my pleasure, many people have been cosplaying the Saja Boys. I've seen so many great cosplays of it, and I do plan on taking a picture with every Saja Boy I see. That's a lie, just Genu and Romance Saja. I got a type, guys. But I'm gonna take a picture with them at Otakon. But controversy sparked when a cosplayer with over 1 million followers on Instagram posted a work in progress of a got that they were working on for their Saja Boys cosplay. And this was made out of EVA foam. And now you might be asking, what's the big deal? Because cosplayers tend to be creative and tend to find cheap and easy ways to create pieces for characters that they love. Here's the issue. People were stating that this is disrespectful to Korean culture by making it out of EVA foam. This is a traditional Korean hat that is made out of materials such as bamboo and horsehair. Again, a simple Google search. Some people believed that making it out of foam was appropriation instead of appreciation because of the cultural significance of the god. The creator apologized and took it down, but many people think that this is still inexcusable. On the other hand, many people think that it has been blown out of proportion. And now you will notice a difference of who's saying it is a big deal and who's saying it's not that big of a deal, which is mostly people who are not Korean. We're gonna get to that because that's also... If EVA foam is an issue, then what are people supposed to use? After all, it's not like a lot of people have access to bamboo or horsehair. Some people have suggested buying it from a Korean artisan, but then people are saying that's way too expensive, or how do I know they're a real Korean artisan? Lots of different questions here, which I do not have the answer to. Just letting you know what people online are saying. Another question that has been raised is how come this isn't okay, but buying hanfu or a kimono from a cosplay website is acceptable? We all know cosplay sites aren't using the highest quality material as we talked about earlier, so why do people not receive backlash for that? The answers vary. Some people point to the cultural significance and the context of the media. Other people think that it's really not that deep and you should do it however you want. So the question is, what is the answer? I don't have the answer for you. As a white person, I have no horse in this race. I cannot tell you what is and is not good to do for Asian cultural cosplays. If you are Korean or any other Asian ethnicity, I would love to hear your input, and I'm sure other people will find it helpful as well. But here's what I can say. First of all, it's always better to be safe than sorry. Sometimes I'm unsure of whether or not something would be acceptable for me to cosplay, and I always research to the best of my ability. I try to ask people that might have a better answer for me, especially if it's from a different culture. But if the answers are divided, just don't do it. I think that a lot of people rush into doing things cosplay-wise for the sake of clout and to capitalize on the hype before it's gone. And while they may research, I think a lot of people find an answer that confirms what they want to hear and take it and run without doing other cross-referencing or looking at other sources that might have an opposing opinion. And a lot of people are saying, oh, they didn't mean to, it wasn't their intention. These cosplays are apologizing and saying it wasn't my intention. And intention matters, but it's not an excuse. Just because you didn't mean to offend someone doesn't mean that you're any less accountable, because like we said, a Google search is so easy. You have to do your research. You have to treat these things delicately, especially if it's not your culture. Second of all, one thing that I have noticed a lot when it comes to commentary on this matter, specifically the last situation we talked about, is that a lot of people who have something to say are not Korean people, and they're especially white people. And I think that it is important to remember here that you should talk about important issues, but you should not be the one leading the charge. It's important to care about things that don't directly impact you. You need to be amplifying the voices of those who are affected, not speaking over them. So if a Korean person says this is offensive, you, as a not Korean person, do not get to say, it's not that deep. Oh, cosplayers just get mad about anything now. Like, oh, we're just trying to find reasons to cancel people. Like, guys, it's not that big of a deal. Like, shut up. Shut up. If you're not Korean, shut the fuck up. If Korean people want to debate amongst themselves about this, like, that's y'all. But us over here, shut the fuck up and listen, okay? This is an opportunity to educate yourselves and to uplift Korean voices on this matter. But I feel like if you aren't Korean, you shouldn't be pushing your opinion in these comment sections. Y'all love Korean culture so much. You love your K-pop, you love your K-beauty, you love your Korean fashion, but as soon as a Korean person is telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing, you don't want to listen anymore? Like, that's not okay. And that's this whole thing of people are going from appreciating the culture to appropriation. Y'all want everything to do with the culture. Y'all want to be a part of the culture, but you don't want to listen to the people of the culture. Make it make sense. The point blank period is, if you are not Korean, you do not get to decide whether this is that deep or not. It's a good time to remind you guys that cultures are not costumes. A costume is something that you can take off at the end of the day, but your culture is a part of your identity. For people, they cannot just take off their culture at the end of the day. And when you just treat it like a costume and you don't have respect for the culture that it comes from, you are taking away from the significance and the history of those cultures from which you are cosplaying and claiming to love and adore so much. If you are going to cosplay a character, do your research, listen to the voices of people from that culture, and cosplay respectfully, accept criticism gracefully. Think of it like being a visitor in someone else's home. It's crazy that we're still having to say this, because I feel like being respectful for people's cultures and being respectful when doing cultural costumes is the equivalent of telling people to wear deodorant to conventions. We've been saying this. There's no way you didn't know this was a thing. Just do it. Like, it's so easy, and yet we continue to have these conversations. On a lighter note, I thought the movie itself was incredibly well done. The story was interesting and original, and the outfits were great, and the color palette was interesting and bright and exciting, and it's a nice contrast from this cookie cutter style of movie that we see so much, where everything has to be hyper realistic for an animated film, where everything has to have like this bland color palette for a film. Like, I hate it. So it's really exciting to see a good piece of content that isn't a reboot or a live action remake or some kind of spin-off. Like, it's just a brand new piece of media to consume and enjoy. I liked having female characters that didn't just perpetuate these regular stereotypes that we get for female characters. I liked that it showed them being serious, but it also showed them being quirky and fun, and it was just really great. I love how animated it was for an animated movie. Even just the little thing like the popcorn eyes or the very like extreme facial expressions, like, it was fun. And while I do think that Rumi and Junyu are cute, I will say that I did like that their dynamic as a duo wasn't just about will they, won't they, wasn't just about romance. There was so much more to interpret and to digest, and I liked how things were implied instead of being explicitly obvious. As someone who is not that into things like K-pop, and I haven't really gotten a chance to explore a lot of other parts of popular Korean culture, this movie has sparked my interest, and I'm excited because my best friend now gets to get me into K-pop and K-beauty and more, which she has been, I'm not even gonna say she's been trying to do. I've been telling you, I'll get into K-pop for you. You're always like, yeah, let's do it, and then we don't. Bestie, when and where? A sequel is not completely out of the scope for this movie, especially since a lot of people are speculating that Jinwoo is still alive. If this movie is anything like Spider-Verse, we'll definitely get more content that will be just as high quality, which is exciting, but also I'm kind of happy with the idea of it being a standalone film. I kind of miss the time where not everything needed a sequel or a threequel, and every movie needed a spin-off series. I liked when they were just one and done. And what do you think? What was your favorite part of the movie? Who's your favorite Saja boy? Who's your favorite Huntrix member? And if you are a Korean person, let me know what you guys think about these controversies. If you are not Korean, it's time to shut up and listen, okay? Because I have no problem awarding the pin of shame. I do hope that this helps people understand different sides of the controversy, maybe understand why these things were harmful if you didn't understand it. So I think it's good that people can take a chance to learn and educate themselves. You have to have an open mind though, and you have to have understanding, and you have to be willing to listen. And you cannot listen if you are too busy talking. The next time a piece of media comes out, if we could not be so quick to cosplay it that we are making some huge harmful mistakes, that would be great. And whether it's about this video or if you have ideas for future videos, which you know I love, you can comment them here, you can DM them to me on Instagram, or you can email them to me right here. And of course, make sure that you follow me on Instagram and like and subscribe so that you can become one of Ezra's faves, where I talk about anime and cosplay and other stuff too. But I'm gonna go because I'm really excited to keep working on this video. So it's time to speed run editing. Okay, bye!